What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. I don't listen. The injury bug is the injury bug. It seems to be the Miami way. We talked about Kader Kohou, and we were hoping that nothing, long term was going to be the case. We did some reckless speculation when he started saying, God knows my plans, and I was like, that's never people never say that when they're not injured for real. Coach McDaniel said day to day, we're checking for swelling, yada yada. And today found out he's out for the year. Knee injury. Um, I guess surgery is imminent. And that was our number one corner going into the year. We've already lost Artie Burns. We already have multiple other guys. Ashton Davis is hurt. It's just like Dante Trader. Like it's just a number of guys in the secondary have already gotten injured, and that was already our weakest position. This is absolutely devastating for Kader. I don't know what to like. It's hard to like quantify it because going to the year, like before we knew about Jalen Ramsey, at best he was gonna be our number two corner, and really we were looking for a second corner anyway, so he was gonna be the slot guy. And then all of a sudden he became like, oh, you might have to be our number one guy, and now he's out. And he's out in a year where he was in a contract year. And my personal worst case scenario for him was you either play this year and you don't play well, and so now you're not going to garner the big money because you didn't play well, or the worst case is that you get hurt all year, you have to rehab, and you come back next year still kind of unproven. Remember, the Dolphins didn't just straight up sign Cater; he was actually tendered, which means that if someone else wanted to come in and get him, they could have done it, and then no one did. Now they would have to give up draft compensation to do that. But if other teams in the league thought, hey, this guy is our missing piece, he's our second corner, he's maybe our CB1, they could have gone and picked him up. They could have, and they chose not to. So that tells me the league's sentiment is that he's at best a slot corner currently. Now there could be some great slot corners. Chris Harris comes to mind as a great one, where their good play in the slot unlocks the rest of the defense. The rest of the league had a chance to get Cater, young guy, 1 year deal, 3.3, $3.5 million. Anybody could have picked him up. No one did. So now you come off an injury. You don't play at all this year. We never get to see you play outside the slots. We don't know, hey, is this guy really versatile or can you only play in one position? Because versatility, I think, in general in the league is a big deal. The more versatile you are, I think you could be Swiss Army knife or be ultra elite at the one thing you do. So if you're like a Richard Sherman type corner back when he played, Richard Sherman mostly played in the cover three, where it's like him, the corner, and the safety play a third of the field, basically. So he was usually kind of in an open stance, watching the quarterback, which is why it was so difficult to throw deep passes on him because he was already looking at the quarterback, running like this, looking back at the ball, and he was 6'3". So I'm long, tall, looking back at the ball, and the ball's in the air. I'm great. Where you could be Richard Sherman, short routes, like in breaking routes, quick out breaking routes, whatever. But he was great at doing that. Now, if you told him to be what they call a traveling corner, which is what like Darrell Revis did, that's what like Dion did, like Namdi Asamoah, these kind of guys, where no matter where the number one receiver goes, Pat Surtain does that now. No matter where the number one receiver is, I'm going there. But there's some corners that say I'm a left side corner only, or I'm a right side corner, or in Cater's case, he was a slot. If you're a lead at that position, that's great. Slot pays the least because you're guarding usually the third receiver or like a Christian McCaffrey type running back. But if you're a number one or two corner and you can play heads up man, you become what Jalen Ramsey was, which is 20 million plus guy, all pro. You can become that. So I don't know what Cater's ceiling would have been. Maybe it would have been a really good number two corner. Maybe it could have been number one. I don't know. And I'm afraid that we won't find out in a Dolphins uniform because I don't know what his value is going to be next year. But if he's coming off an injury and he was already like seen as our third corner before, more or less, I'm thinking the Dolphins might just draft a guy and say, hey, Cater is going to be 25 off an injury. Let's get a 21-year-old that's cheap. Restart the clock. That's what I'm afraid might happen. But that's a tough one, man. Prayers up to Cater, man. Prayers up. So we're in the middle of camp right now, and there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff in camp is not what it seems, right? sometimes camps are like schemed up where it's like, hey, we're gonna let the offense basically score. Sometimes, hey, defense kind of wins. Sometimes it really is just like organically, we're seeing how people emerge. So Tua is more focused on what he's doing versus how it turns out. So he mentioned like it's a long interview, but he mentioned sometimes he'll see a route and think, can I make that throw? But in the camp, he might end up throwing a pick. And people will say, oh, Tua had 2 picks today in camp. He was awful. But he was seeing, I normally layer the ball this way. Can I like do that? Is that a possible throw? And let me work on it now, kind of thing, right? And if it is a throw, cool. That changes. That's like the like the Avengers, where Doctor Strange is like, there's one out of like 18 million. If I can now say there's two, like okay, cool. That doubles my chances, right? Because in a game, you're trying to weigh that risk reward at all times. You want to make the big play, but you don't want to make the big mistakes. So like when you're scrambling outside the pocket, you're holding the ball, and the cornerbacks or and receivers are doing all that crazy stuff. You're trying to like get open, and you're doing that. That's great, but just know your offensive linemen have been blocking for 10 seconds, and they're probably about to get beat. Also, almost certainly illegal man downfield. Like that happens all the time. Or even worse, receiver steps out of bounds, referee's hat comes off. Like a lot of things can go wrong in that. But if things all go right, you can make that 50-yard bomb off your back foot and say, "Oh my God, what an amazing play!" I like where Tua says that because I think your processes kind of determine your outcome. This is bigger than football. This is more of a life principle. But if your processes are on point, your systems are on point, I think you're more likely to get good results. Not all the time, but more likely to do so. If your footwork is on point, one, two, three, hitch, ball out, and you do that consistently, I think you're more likely to be a more accurate passer. I think bad accuracy quarterbacks have janky mechanics. They're stepping back, they're doing pump fake motions, they're like leaning back, they're throwing off like weird angles. The quarterbacks that are accurate tend to be a little bit more compact. They're a little bit more deliberate, and the ball kind of gets where it goes. Tua is known as being incredibly accurate. It actually is his superpower. He's not tall, he's not fast, and he's left-handed in a league where 99% of people are right-handed. What he is, though, incredibly accurate. So this is what he actually had to say about his approach to camp. I'm not really basing it off of what the result is or isn't for myself in this training camp. I have about 2 or 3 things max that I have for myself that I'm focusing on each practice that I go out there. I can tell you 2 or 3 things I did not do really well today. So that's what I'm saying. It's not results oriented because I know for myself what wanted to get done, and I wasn't able to get that done today. Appreciate the humility. And yeah, like Tua's always been pretty level headed outside of like not sliding from time to time. Like outside of that, like the way Tua talks, the way he is about his family, the way he is about his preparation, he's always been pretty straight headed. He's not erratic. He might be stubborn, which I think is part of being a good player, um, part of a family pride, bloodline kind of situation. But he's very like calculated. Hey, we didn't have the best practice. We'll get him tomorrow. He isn't a guy that's like, oh, I forgot, I don't have any confidence. I can't throw the ball anymore. That's not who he is. I like that he's figuring out more levels to his game. Because again, the way our offense is schemed is that the coach does a lot of the work, and Tua is just kind of delivering the ball. But if he can find the little 1% betters and all these little things, hey, I realize that if I like have my back foot a little further back from the snap, I can get into my drop back a little bit quicker. And so now, instead of throwing a ball in 2.4 seconds, I can do it in 2.5, 2.6. And that extra little point 0.2 seems insignificant at home because we're watching a game on TV. On the field, that could be a head fake to make somebody open up. That could be breaking that on your feet. That can be the receiver turning around and actually snapping their head around for the ball. A lot of things can happen in 0.2 seconds. That's also Miles Garrett coming off the edge with his hand up, about to hit the ball. If you next time football season comes back around, do this. I do this all the time. Look at how many times the defensive end almost hits the ball. Just like, oh my, the quarterback could be in motion. You're like, oh, that's gonna be a sack fumble, and it's like it just barely misses. You're like, oh my God, he almost got him. That happens a lot, and some of that is quarterbacks having great pocket presence where they can just like slide in the pocket, do little things like that. But sometimes it's just the the D lineman was a little bit off. Maybe he took a step too far outside and couldn't get back inside quick enough. Sometimes the offensive lineman just got enough of a push on him, so the angle isn't that. The angle's like that, and that little extra loop is like one extra step outside that allows the ball to just get off. It's fascinating when you watch the little intricacies of all that stuff, but I think Tua's head is in the right place. And then hopefully the results do come. We don't want to just be like, hey, you threw 7 picks today. He's like, I'm just on the process. Like, there's a limit to just process over outcome. But I like where his head's at. Now, we don't know. We know that Kader's out. We don't have any reason to think that Rasul or Asante are coming here. And there's not a ton of good corners in the market. One corner in the market that I keep bringing up is Stephon Gilmore. So the question is Stephon Gilmore the answer for the Dolphins? I would say reflexively, a lot of people are like, nah, he's washed. Get over it. He is turning 35 in September, so like he's 35 for a corner is old. You're not old for the earth, but you're old for the field. Shout out to the 40-year-old virgin. But, oh no, it's not 40, but that's Knocked Up. Different movie. Anyway, he's old for the field, but he's actually still pretty solid. Now, Stephon Gilmore at his heyday was all-pro defensive player of the year corner guy. Those days are over. What he is now is a really good zone corner. And because the Dolphins, I guess, won't have a man corner going into this year, no one has even come close to emerging for that. And also, I wouldn't put any rookie in man unless they're like Sauce Gardner level rookie. And he, again, special case. Which means the team is more likely to play a version of a zone and then hope our defensive line can kind of make up the slack. Like if those guys get enough pressure, then the guys in the zone in the back end don't have to hold up as long. And so they complement each other. I assume that's what their approach is going to be. I haven't heard Coach talk about it yet, but realistically, that makes the most sense. I couldn't imagine they're going to start doing all these bomb blitzes and sending guys from the secondary and now leaving guys on islands. That makes absolutely no sense to me. That's a recipe for a 70-yard touchdown bomb. But I digress. Stephon Gilmore, to his credit, has been remarkably healthy. Like his last 3 years, he's played at least 15 games in all those years. And the Dolphins literally have like 4 or 5 DBs on injury reserve. So whoever we sign has to play, first and foremost. We're not going to sign no one. But whoever we sign has to play. And they have to show that they can play. Just being available, that's number one. Number two, can you actually play? This is a C.J. Henderson's guy as of the world. C.J. Henderson, Gator, shout out to C.J. You know how I am about Florida guys. But let's be honest, CJ got drafted by the Jaguars. We thought it made all the sense in the world. He went from Florida to Jacksonville. You're right there. Gainesville to Jacksonville. And then he just never was the guy he was supposed to be. He never panned out. I don't know what happened. He has all the tools. He was a good man cover at Florida. Got to the league. Don't know what happened. He's available, but people are like, can that guy actually play football? Like at this level. People think Stephon Gilmore can play. It's just that he's old. And so what's the ceiling on his game? I don't need a high ceiling. I need a guy that I know can do the job, that I know won't be expensive, and it's going to be on the field. That's all I need. Now, a month ago, when I thought, hey, we might get Asante and Rasul, Greg Newsome was out there, and when we were doing all that, yeah, I was, at a wish list like we all do. But now, I just want someone to be on the field and stay on the field. That's my biggest hope is that we don't end up playing linebackers at corner, getting guys from the Arena League to come. Like, I just want to have people on the field who we want to play, that can play, and can play solid at least. I don't know. So, of course, after the injury, people started hopping on X and started chatting, and one of the people that hopped out there was Teron Armstead, who, since retiring from the Dolphins, has been remarkably involved in Dolphins content. I don't know what happened. He's like, I'm retired, but that content not stopping. So there's a lot of Teron Armstead stuff. He got into it about Patrick Paul. He went out there talking about Tua and Drew Brees, and here he is again. This man will not stop giving us content, and once again, TA, we appreciate you. So he was talking today about Kader being injured and how it affected him, and he was very expressive. I'm not going to read this in his level of expression because I'm just not going to. But this is what he said. He says, a huge blow for the team, but I'm thinking about him personally. Injuries can take you to a dark place. One day you're about of a 90-man team. Next day you're in isolation. You never see the guys. You never have time to sit and talk. You don't feel a part of the team. If you see someone injured, send them some positive energy, man. Uplift them and encourage them to attack the injury and rehab to get back as soon as possible. Now, I don't know if Teron Armstead watches Dolphins Daily. I don't believe he does. But if he does, he would know I said this exact thing a week ago. I was already talking about the perils of being injured and why some people try to play through them. Because once you get injured, you feel like you're not really part of the team. As someone who got injured a lot early in playing, it's weird. Like even when you're just like on the sideline with an ace bandage on, in between like water breaks. I mean, you good? You good, bro? Yeah. And then they leave, and you're just kind of like, it's pretty cool being injured. Like and that's like a low level, ice on my knee, ice on my ankle, maybe crutches level injury. Anything that requires surgery where you're actually away from the team, dude, like it's gut wrenching, especially if your team is on both sides. If they're doing poorly and you think if I was there I could have helped them, devastating. If they're doing really well and they're out here high fiving and dapping up, man, we never looked this good. And you're like, what happened there? That guy's playing in my spot. Like on both sides, it hurts, but really it's just the fact that there's nothing like being on a team. Some of y'all play basketball, baseball, football, whatever it is. That team environment, you can't replicate that anywhere else. I know at work they always like, hey, we're gonna do a team event, but it's different because it's money involved. It's whatever. Sports teams have their own energy, and when you're not a part of the team, people be like wishing you the best, but when you're not there in the trenches getting beat up and or like overcoming and all that stuff, especially if you're trying to like coach people up while you're not playing. Hey man, hey, you see what I see? It's like, hey bro, you're not on the field. It's a weird thing. And it can be isolating. It can be a dark place. It can be the thing where you try to rush back early, to try to get back around the team, to prove that I'm tough, because we didn't even factor in the ego part of all this stuff. Everyone thinks they heal fast. Like, that's the thing. Like, oh, I'll get back. I'm good, big dog. And it's like, nah, you're not. It said 4 to 8 weeks. It's been 4.5 weeks. And you're like, thought it said 4 to 8 weeks. Like, but whatever that second number is, that's the number. 8 out of 10 times, told me 6 to 12 weeks, so you're going to be out for 12 weeks. Cool. Most of the time, as someone who now is a personal trainer who does this, recreationally, the later is usually the case. There are some outliers, of course. That's why when I mentioned the James Daniels thing, him just being on schedule is the win. If they said, hey, your first practice should be July 25th, and his first practice is July 25th, he is perfect. I don't want to hear, July 1st, I'm already out here. No, take that extra 3 weeks. There's a reason why they give you that thing. It's one, to probably not get sued, sure, but also to make sure you are for real healthy. Adrian Peterson is one of one. We get that. LeBron is one of one. But the latter time is the one. And when you're out for the year, then I don't even know. I never had a year-long injury, so I don't know what that feels like to be like, oh, I'm prepping for this year. I can't wait. And then, you hope your support system is good. Friends and family, you hope that's good. Your teammates at points will do stuff. This can be like a Friday Night Lights situation where like Street was like a coach on the sideline, but he was in a wheelchair. He found a way to be valuable to the team. If it could be something like that, I think there's value in it, but it never feels the same as when you're not playing. And when you think, hey, this guy may not even be on a team a year from now, so friendships get severed that way. I don't know. Teron Armstead had a ton of injuries during his career. He talked about how that basically ended his career early, so he probably feels this personally on the fact that this is my ex-teammate too. I had a bunch of injuries to where I'm not playing anymore myself, so I totally get where he's coming from. And again, shout out TA for the continued content because he just won't stop giving, and we won't keep talking about it. So we thank you for that. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank you all for the likes and subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.